Hey guys, here we are taking a look at the Steelcraft Top Bag series, the Mini-Bodega made by Riot Knives. It's a really great knife. Just looking at it, beautiful design, great machining on there. And it has some nice little extra features on there that really set it apart, I think. First off being the clip, not only with this ceramic ball bearing in there, which is a bag design, but I think the finish. It's this cracked ice finish that they call it, and as you can see on there, it finishes over to the sides, and even the sides have that finish on there, which really looks very, makes for a completed look. Now the end is held by this frog-like, snail eye-like look right here with these two little pillars that stick out. I was hoping for something a little more solid than these two little spots here, but I can live with that. I'm assuming that is how the original Bodega comes. Sorry, trying to focus. As you can see how that is there. Still a functional clip though, I like it. One thing that really stands out to me is on this back spacer, there's almost like knurling, like you would see on some nicer flashlights and whatnot. So it's really nice. It's a nice little grip there. Along with this machining pattern that they do on here, these little spikes or whatnot. It's almost like diamond shaped somewhat. But this adds really positive traction on the blade, in my opinion, especially with such a smaller handle. My pinky tends to just barely wrap onto that. It's definitely a smaller knife, and I wear kind of a large size glove. Typically, it's something that fits my hand a little better. It's like a large Sebenza, most stuff with 3.5 blade. So if you're used to something of that size, this may feel a little small, but I tend to like smaller knives 2 and 3 inch range at times. It's really not that bad. So, but this adds a lot of help in, holding onto this small handle here. I think it was really smart on Riot's end too, because people have been asking for 3-inch blades forever now, ever since they've started production. And this is there was no better way to introduce a Mini-Bodega and have that as your first 3-inch knife. So very clever on their end. This one rides on ceramic IKBS. Very nice, and I like the nice little sweeping plunge line that they do here. It's very nice versus the typical, almost like a V shape or an L shape you see on some other knives. This is a very, very clean grind right there. And on the bevel, you have a stonewash finish. On the flats, you have a satin finish, which is very nicely done. It's not a very rough belt finish you would see on some other knives. It's almost like a hand-rubbed satin, which you would see on maybe like a custom knife or something like a mid-tech or whatnot. On the fluted section, you have almost what's like a bead blast finish on there. So on the blade, you have about 3 different finishes on there. Looking at the back spacer, if you follow to the inside, you also have that cracked ice finish as well, which I thought was a very nice little detail on there. It might be hard to see, but the inside of these of the handle scales are they're skeletonized very deeply. It's probably doesn't show up on here, but if you see it in person, these are very deeply skeletonized, and I can imagine it really takes a lot of weight off these handles, as they would be quite thick in the start of machining, since they are contoured. Especially this, I assume they do this with a solid piece of titanium at this thickness here, and just shave all this extra down to make these two little pillars here. Pretty interesting. So that's some pretty deep skeletonizing. On the lock bar, they have the steel insert screws on the inside, very nicely done, and those screws are actually rounded at the tip, so they're not like a typical cut that you would see on some other screws, how it's almost like a cut on the bottom where you can tell where they ended the screw off. These are very nicely rounded and finished, and add very nice aesthetics, I think. The matte disc and fire I have has something very similar to this, and I'm seeing this more and more on other knives. It's very interesting. On the lock bar itself, you have a little relief cut right here, and then also a little thumb notch on the face of the lock release right there. Very nice. And overall, just a very nice knife. very very well worth the price in my opinion. I got this one from Knife Center. We're going for $4.45, I believe. I had a $50 discount card from their Knife Rewards program, which shout out to them. That's a very awesome program that they are doing. And I got this one for $3.95. So in my opinion, even at $4.45, it's a hell of a little knife and well worth the price. And it's a great flipper, by the way. The only thing I would criticize the biggest is I wish they put a little bit of jimping on this on the flipper tab. Would have added a nice little bit. I'm spoiled by Andre Thorburn's flipper tabs, which are almost a Velcro-like flipper tab. This one is a little slick in my opinion, but it's fine. It's a good flipper. Doesn't have too much detent strength, so it's rare that my finger flips off there so far. So enjoy.